Ah, great. Probably should have locked the door.
Well, it looks like people are trying to steal you again. It's okay though. No, it's okay. I'm gonna take care of them. Just don't move.
Time to get serious. What?
Hey, you guys don't mind if I take a moment to reload, do you?
All friendlies have been eliminated.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is my different username here, and today I am here to show off the weapon slash gadget of the legendary defense operator from Rainbow Six Siege known as Tachanka, and I gotta say, his weapon definitely stands out from the other operators in the game, so without further ado, here we have the DP-28 light machine gun made out of Lego. The DP-28, or the Dinner Plate 28, actually the Degtyaryov 28, was the advancement in machine guns built by Vasily Degtyaryov. It was built to replace earlier models of the same design and was used by the Soviet Union as the standard light machine gun and even saw use during World War II. Although eventually the weapon would be replaced by another design of Vasily's, which was the RPD machine gun in 1945, the weapon is now commonly used by collectors and even gun enthusiasts. This weapon happens to also be used by the defensive operator Tachanka, or Alexander Seneviv, as a part of his gadget, which is a deployable mounted turret, but for now, we'll just be covering the details of the machine gun itself. The first thing we should definitely talk about is the giant pan magazine that sits on the top of the gun. The magazine for the DP-28 is considered a pan magazine and not a drum magazine, and that has to do with the way the bullets are loaded into it as well as how it's loaded into the gun itself. The top of the plate can rotate just like the actual magazine itself. It even features a ring on the top that can be used to rotate the cover as well, and I even added a rubber band on the inside of the mag to allow it to spring back into place whenever the cover was shifted. I'll say this, it was difficult to come up with a design to the magazine without having all the jagged edges everywhere, but overall it does look good still, and it even has a very beautiful design on the top of the cover that I'm really proud of. Alright, just to make maneuvering this thing a little easier for the camera, I'm going to keep the magazine off up until later. But anyways, the bolt is quite unique to the design of this gun, as it's an open bolt design on the original gun, but in the game it's shown as a closed bolt design. So what I did with my model was I allowed the weapon to be able to be locked back completely, as well as also being able to charge like a closed bolt weapon system would. Interesting fact about the bolt is that it and the spring both run under a tube that's underneath the barrel, so during intense fire, the weapon starts to get hot and can actually warp and break down the spring, overall causing the weapon to completely malfunction. It's surprising to see a weapon like this have such a bad and overlooked flaw, although in later iterations of the gun, the spring is moved away from the barrel, which also removes the problem altogether. The weapon has a safety that when this button behind the trigger guard isn't pressed upward, the trigger cannot actually be pulled back. This unfortunately isn't present on my model due to the fact that the rubber band design I made inside the gun would get in the way of an actual button system that would block the trigger. Also, I am using the same technique from another gun of mine where I use upside down pieces as a part of the trigger guard. Maybe this might become a new thing for my guns, but I don't know. It's unfortunate to know that the flash suppressor on my weapon does not look like the one on the actual weapon. It's not a cone shape, but for me, it was the best way of getting across the type of shape it was, at least in its LEGO form. The stock of the weapon has a very unique design to it, looking pretty normal up until you get to this giant bump that's on the bottom. And there isn't even a backplate on it, which I also find very strange. And lastly, in the back of the stock, there's a little brush that can be accessed from the top, and its purpose? I'm not quite sure. My guess would be to maybe clean out the bore of the barrel after some use, but I could be wrong. The sights on the model are pretty nice to look down, as they do sit very high on the gun in order to look over the giant pan magazine while it's loaded. The front and rear sights on my model are not adjustable, and the rear sight base has a tab that covers the sights and also serves as the part used to pull back the magazine release. Extra little details on the weapon also include the sling mounts on the sides and the takedown screw that's on the right. It doesn't actually take down the gun, but it is just fun to mess around with. Overall, this weapon is very unique, and with its unconventional design and operation, it's why it's seen in so many iterations of video games and even movies. It's definitely one of the coolest light machine guns out there, and I'm finally glad that I got to make it into LEGO. But this gun is only the first part of the whole build that I made, and now it's time to move on to the next piece of the build, which is the tripod mount. This is the mount used to attach the gun to the tripod. It has a tilting and swiveling mechanism built into the piece to allow full range of motion for when the weapon is mounted. This mount was going to be a part of an entire tripod that was going to be built out of LEGO, but due to limitations of actual pieces, a proper design, and time, it never happened. I had an idea of how to make a quick and easy tripod by stacking bricks on top of one another over and over again, but that doesn't really create a strong connection, as you can see here. Some other LEGO weapon builders also showed me this design, which would have made a pretty strong stand, but would have taken a lot of pieces to accomplish, and in the end probably would not have been strong enough to hold the entire gun up. So I came up with something else. I grabbed this old camera tripod of mine and some spray paint to make this look more like something that you would see on Tachanka's turret in game, and this tripod is honestly just used to hold the weight of the gun as well as elevating it. I still used the tripod mount for attaching the gun to show that an actual tripod out of LEGO could be made, I just didn't have the proper resources at the time. Mounting the machine gun to the tripod is not difficult at all, and it's actually fairly easy to do. First, the mount has to be set into place, then the next step is to grab the gun and secure the mount to the bottom of the receiver, and just like that, you are quite literally mounted and loaded, and I gotta say, using the gun like this is actually really fun. It just feels awesome. Now that I've covered the second part to this turret, it's time to cover the third and final part to this whole build, which is the giant bulletproof face shield that is used with Tachanka's turret. This shield was used as a way to buff Tachanka as an operator, and it's actually based off of a real life shield that's normally used for vehicle mounted 50 cal turrets. But in the lore, it was supposedly designed by Mira and given to Tachanka to add onto his turret to protect him from enemy fire. This shield had to be the toughest part of this whole turret build. The whole design was built in LEGO Digital Designer, and it consists of around 2,500 pieces, all of which had to be ordered, and the whole shield alone weighs about 9 pounds. It's mostly gray all around except for the dozens of light gray bolts mounted all over the shield, and the glass consists of almost 200 4-stud pane pieces, and in the front on both sides reads out what looks like to be Nopa in English, but actually is the Russian translation of the word Lord, referring to our Lord and Savior of Siege, Tachanka. From here you can actually see out the 3 sections of the shield from the shooter's point of view, and you can also see where the shield mounts onto the gun. And I have to say, it is ridiculous how difficult it is to mount this to the gun itself, but I did make up a type of setup to make the process just a little bit more easy. I ended up using this box and one of my school yearbooks to help tilt the gun forward to allow access to the shield mount and gun. From that point, I would actually need someone to help me mount the gun onto the tripod because both hands had to be on this gun, otherwise the whole thing would break from just too much weight in the front. This was definitely, without a doubt, the hardest part of this build, but it was so worth it. Before I had the shield foldable just like the one in the game, but due to too much weight to have to deal with, it made more sense to just make the whole shield static to reduce the chance of it breaking. Also, when I decided to make the video, I was almost contemplating not even making the shield to begin with, but I don't know how I would feel making Tachanka's turret without the shield as well. I feel like it would have been just a huge disservice to the entire video, so I'm really glad I went through all the troubles of getting it made. And just like that, guys, that is the whole build for Tachanka's turret. I know it's not completely made of Lego, but I think it's at least understandable to why the tripod was used instead, considering the weight and the limitations of my pieces, but overall, it was really difficult to pull off the whole thing as it did eat up 3 months of my time. But I'm glad to finally get it done. I'll definitely be going back to making just regular weapons after this video is out though, but until then, enjoy the rest of the video. God, I love this movie. There's a new patch? Alright. Let's do this.
Woo! Now this looks nice. Oh, I almost forgot. Alexa, play track 1.
Okay, playing track 1.
Oh yeah. Wait, what? Oh, come on!
All friendlies have been eliminated.
This thing, it's garbage! It has been a gruesome 3 months just trying to get this video out for you guys, but I hope it was definitely worth it. And I'd also like to give a big thank you to everybody who has helped make this video come to life. When it came to the people who helped me actually write down and film the skit, everybody just put in so much work and effort, and I couldn't honestly be any happier. Also, if you're interested in seeing more Rainbow Six Siege weapons, definitely make sure to subscribe to see more in the future, like, favorite, and comment if you have enjoyed, and, as always, thanks for watching.